Hello everybody and welcome to another Community Fortress. This one was sent in on the Discord by Charlylimph, and if you would like to do the same and get a fortress shown on this show, you can do that by simply sending it on my Discord. Jump into the Discord TF Save Sharing Room and send in your fortress either via Google Drive link or file sharing service of your choice, or alternatively upload it directly if the file is small enough. If you are using a large number of mods, please include your mods folder so that I have the highest chance of running it. Now, this is, I guess, almost kind of like a mini-series within the series of these videos, which is people's first fortress. So this is actually their very first fortress. And they said that they ran into some FPS problems, but were able to fix it and get it back up to 20 to 24, which in my opinion is perfectly playable, albeit a little bit slow. This is the fortress of Riddleworked, and they actually mentioned that demon moths were invading at one point by the goblins in the year 108. And I have a question, were these necromancer experiments or actual like brutes? Because if those are brutes, that's not a common thing to have happen at all, and is quite cool. We're going to jump over here now into the fortress itself, and we're going to take a look at the surface. So we got these little roads that were constructed here. There's things that will never wake, bits and pieces all over the ground, various, things that will happen on the ground after, your average battle, right? So bits and pieces kind of scattered about, but so definitely obvious signs of a scuffle here. A couple cage traps and long hallways to be greeted by the military at the end of them. On the inside of this kind of inner area, I just want to state that I really like this embark. This is some of my favorite types of embarks, are these ones that have, the large waterfall systems, which we're going to have to talk about in a minute, as well as these canyons kind of going through. This kind of right angle is a bit of a shame. Like sometimes this happens in the world gen where you get two tiles connecting just barely, and you get kind of a jagged angle, but I don't know, it's part of Dwarf Fortress's level gen charm, and I quite enjoy the way this actual embark looks. So good job on this embark regardless. But we're gonna now take a look at the fortress itself. If we go up a few layers, we can see we do have a little bit of a tower up here that kind of goes up, and I'm assuming this is for some sort of watch animal or watchdog, but I'm not seeing a pasture there for it, so perhaps they were trying to use it for military, or it's just there for show. It's hard to say. Then we can immediately spot our trade depot here. We got livestock all around with some giant ravens, which personally I would just let fly around free. I would unpasture them and just let them see where they go, because I'd be kind of curious. That, or alternatively, I'd put those in the tower because they could dodge more effectively, as well as this giant cow moose, which I need to look up on the wiki how big those are, but those are probably very, 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 very large, I would imagine. And this is going to be another episode of Waiting for the Baby Patch, because look at these giant flying squirrels. I don't actually think I've seen flying squirrels yet in Dwarf Fort. I know that they exist, right? And I've seen the vermin variant, but I don't actually think I've seen this sprite before in this version, so that's a first for me. Pretty damn cool, that. Then, of course, there's red pandas, which are actually surprisingly common in Dwarf Fort, which they appear to be training here. So good job on the animal husbandry side of things. Over here a little bit, we have some more livestock and war dogs, and many a llama and etc. I can begin moving down a few layers. This fortress kind of goes, so get ready for that sort of thing. We've got some water shenanigans going around with the upper creek, which is coming in from this side over here, so it kind of goes over this way and then down and over. I would have widened this up and messed around with it a little bit, but it's a little dangerous to do stuff like that, right? And then over here we kind of have this little reservoir, and they've utilized this waterfall here to go down and through their tavern. So we'll take more note of that when we get to it, but I just wanted to kind of highlight that is coming from the waterfall. We can follow the very nice stairway kind of going down to over here, and then it appears that they are using this aquifer over here, unless, no, that's not the aquifer, that's coming from the river. They're using this water coming from the river here to spray down over their stairway. Now, something that might be impacting frame rate is water does kind of mess with what's the word, pathing just a little bit. So I do actually wonder if the amount of water you've got dribbling down these particular stairs is because I see the twos there. Twos seem to be the point where dwarves start to try to avoid it. So they might actually be getting upset with that. Generally with kind of mist generators and stuff, you want to either just have one or just the mist tile. The second you start actually seeing water falling down things, that's where you're going to start running into issues. So I don't think it's too much of an issue here. I think this is minimal, but I'm just trying to deduce frame rate problems. Up here we have a big old stockpile full of beds. I thought that was a dormitory when I first saw it. And then when we get down into the fort itself, you can see the very, very, very busy kind of front area here. This is going to be a heck of a thing to pass through. Down here we have various metalsmiths forges, and it looks like some of these actually got knocked over or toppled or something, but there's these very small one tile wide lava forges. I'm assuming they use buckets for this, which is where you pour lava onto a minecart and then pick up the minecart manually and carry it somewhere else. I'm assuming that's what they used for these, but I could be mistaken. If you did use magma buckets, that's actually a really cool strat, especially considering this is your first fortress. Then down here we have a little siege workshop and various other siege workshops. This is a very old style of building things where you just have like these little individualized rooms. It's so that if you get a strange mood and you don't happen to have the stuff for it, you can just lock the door and just be like, all right, you figure yourself out. But I personally am not a huge fan of this style of building. For me, it kind of messes with movement, and I don't know. I think it's ugly. It's not my first choice personally. Over here, we do have a barracks. And I'm assuming they were using this for target practice over here, but I could be mistaken. And then over here is like a kind of your clothing industry, and also the barrels for plants, and also then they're growing down here using mud. Also very cool. Good job with getting like mud gardens up and running. That's kind of what I would describe as more of an advanced tactic even. And then over here, kind of on the left, you kind of have this very large room down here, which isn't assigned to anybody or anything. It's just kind of there. So maybe they're prepping this to be like a throne room or something, considering this is the capital. And then up here we have a hospital. And then various bedrooms around, as well as a very large water source, which is also an interesting choice because, like, the water source isn't very deep. So generally when you're making a water source, you want it to be, like, more than just one. I mean, like, it will be operational, but considering, like, this water's flowing, dwarves that are going in here to, like, use these wells are looking for a well with standing water underneath it, right? So unless you're like just filling this for the first time, which you're not, it's draining out here. Unless you're just filling this for the first time, if water just for some reason happens to dry up for a second when they're going to go use this well as an example, it'll cancel the job, which I would just set up your wells in a way so that there's just steady water underneath it. This is a neat idea, though. Maybe like increase the flow so that there's like a consistent like 2 or 3 of 7 full in this. But aside from that, I mean, neat idea, but not how I would execute that personally. Up here, once again, this is my favorite part of the fortress, this tavern that's utilizing this waterfall. That's super, super, super cool. Massive fan of that. Especially because it continues as the waterfall down afterwards, which is also awesome. So, like, I'm a big fan of that. I'm just not super keen on this water setup over here. And over here, there's what appears to be a drainage pipe and various other modes of flooding, I suppose, and drainage and other things and kind of stuff sort of everywhere. And then some more bedrooms down here. All right, so then down here we have, once again, this big old throne room that also has its own drainage, which is draining down into here, which is then, assuming, yep, draining off the side of the map. Good that you're doing that. Water itself doesn't really mess too much with frames, but water blocking pathing does. So that's the thing that you need to be kind of careful about with. You don't want dwarves to be going, oh god, there's water here, and then walking in a different direction because, I can't see where I'm going, and all that stuff. It's generally not good. Also, like, you know, you can have dwarves slip on like ramps and stairs and stuff, and then suddenly you have a dwarf going in a straight line, and then splat at the bottom because they don't catch on the stairs. They just kind of, when they start falling, they just keep falling until they hit a floor, and then you just have a dwarf in 45 pieces instead of a single dwarf, which is anyway. So as we move down a little bit, we have this we have these kind of dwarves around here going in and out of the big old stockpile area with the magma bucket situation that we already talked about in the throne room. So it's time to start moving down. As we move down, we see the dwarven living quarters, which are quite beautiful, nicely laid out. I'm a big fan of this room in the middle here, especially with these platinum tables. Man, Bayonetta sends regards. Like, look at that, glorious, absolutely beautiful. Big fan. Kind of reminds me of the Swiss flag a little bit, but looks cool, or the French flag even. Anyway, and then up here we have a artifact hold, which is very nice, big fan, and a little library, a little bit plain looking, but it gets the job done. And then several different temples to different gods around this area, including the Holy Goose. All hail the Holy Goose. In this house we worship Goose. And then just up north, there's of course more temples, more temples, more temples. Man, the pantheon of this fortress is just, it's something. They got a lot. And then they're working on expanding that. Oops, I lost it. They're working on expanding that artifact hole right here. Somebody actually was asking me in one of my earlier videos earlier this week, how do you zoom in and out? Hold control, mouse wheel. Okay, it's that simple. And then as we move down here, press Z once again, we have the same kind of area, but for guild halls. So more guild halls, guild halls, guild halls, guild halls. Then over here, there's just like this minecart track that we'll follow in a second. And then here's the bedrooms for those who know Wake Up. And then as we move down a little further, we've got office kind of district, which is just, your office, your dining room, your bedroom, just kind of on repeat. Very simple and efficient way of doing things, I must say. Down here we have our dungeon, which is very, very, very pretty. I'm not sure why there's no walls in these. Like, is this like a open floor plan space dungeon similar to like the Valve offices or something? Maybe one day they'll make Half-Life 3. Moving down a little further, we have this color code, which I remember seeing screenshots of this on my Discord like a month or so ago. As you can tell, I'm a little bit late. This was actually posted on my Discord on the 1st of March, so it's been a little while, but it's cool to actually see this in a fortress. Scrolling down a little bit more, there's this more drainage kind of going on down here, which is, where's that actually coming from? Oh, I see. That's from the stairs. Duh. And then over here is that minecart rail, which is moving down still. And there's this big old rollers for getting stuff up, right? So they kick it up, they push it up to here, and then they kick it, and it goes boom, up, and then same down, except that's where the brakes are. And then as we go down, we can follow this, which just kind of follows the stairs. So the stairs do have this kind of little open area in the caverns for farming, as well as some walls, which don't go all the way up to the ceiling. You'd need those to go up quite a bit higher Z levels wise to be actually safe. And then there's also this kind of other outer area here, the vermin catchers thing. And honestly, this is a mechanic that I haven't interacted with at all, vermin catching. Look at all those free shields. Wonderful. I guess they walked in by themselves. Beautiful. And also plenty spike traps. You gotta love the spike traps. Everybody's a big fan of the spike traps. Just don't lie down on the spike traps. And then as we move down, we can follow these minecart rails, and they go down. I'm doing all sorts of weird voices with my today. It's kind of strange. This is like out of character for me. Anyway, now that we make it down to this long area, it kind of goes up straight, and then it goes down to this big old square area. Look at that square area. It's not a square area, it's just a square area. There's a big old pool of lime. That's odd. Why is it orange? And then right beneath it is lava. So it's not even open space, it's a pool of lime. Anyway, so there's various things down here. It looks like there was a bit of a metalsmithing industry. I'm assuming that this is probably the general vicinity that they used to fill the minecart buckets. If I had to guess, probably somewhere around here, unless there is one in here somewhere, which was accidental, but it kind of feels like this is where they were either experimenting with minecart buckets or filling minecart buckets, and then they probably would transport them up here and then ship them up. This, you can see all kinds of filled holes down here, so I'm assuming these were lava forges at one point. That, or they were using these minecarts to bring stuff down instead of up. So if they were bringing stuff down, then they were probably going from, where's that area in this upper thingy that I found earlier? Probably going from right here, yes, and then down. So this was probably a setup where it was going down and then bringing the stuff up, if I had to guess, to then be used up here. But honestly, Riddleworked, considering First Fortress, I think this is quite outstanding. I mean, look at your moods. Like your dwarf, like frame rate aside, like dwarves are super duper duper happy in this fort. So I would consider that a massive success. You do have your monarch, your duchy, your mayor, your champion. The only thing left to do would be to make it a mountain home, but that's a bit tedious and takes a long time. So that is kind of up to you at that point. But frankly, I think this is a lovely First Fortress, and I very much appreciate all of the contributions to this show, as well as my Discord server in general. Clearly, Lymph. And thank you to everybody who has sent in fortresses to this show so far. I'm going to keep covering them as best I can and continuing to keep up with things. And I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who's been watching this show, and I'm going to continue uploading it, damn it, because I enjoy doing it. YouTube has been trying its best to make it impossible for me to monetize my stuff lately, so if things become less timely or sporadically weird, it's because I'm trying to not make videos public until they're approved for monetization, which is a little bit problematic, but it's the best I can do, unfortunately. Otherwise, it's the difference between me making $6 to $10 off of a video or $1.50. If you want to help me remedy this issue, you can buy a piece of merchandise over on my merch store, or check out my Patreon to get your name in these credits. And I just want to say thank you very much to everybody who funds these videos, because it really does make them worth doing. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.